So here's a big one we keep on cursing about. I keep on tweeting about how awful Siri is. And thank God, it's literally, I know that you've been an Android user, Salim, for a while now. And
forever.
Just what we saw at Google I.O. was epic. And so I am going to buy I've got the latest iPhone here, but I am going to buy an Android phone as well. So that I can start to play with all of Google's incredible tech. And also because Siri sucks so bad, they're pushing me away. Having said that, here's the news article from Bloomberg. Apple weighs using Anthropic or OpenAI for Siri rather than an in-house AI team. Let's take a quick listen.
So Apple is now evaluating for the first time using a third-party model, either Claude from Anthropic or ChatGPT from OpenAI, to power Siri. Obviously, as we all know and experience in our day-to-day lives, Siri is not very good. And now it's exploring maybe using Claude or ChatGPT instead in order to get new features out the door more quickly and make the voice assistant more appealing. You talk to people at Apple, though, the word on the street there is it's all about Anthropic. And so Anthropic is really the focus of Apple for this new generation of Siri. They're using Anthropic to power a lot of their internal AI technology. But again, as I say in my story, Anthropic wants billions of dollars at a scale that doubles annually for Siri to be powered by Claude. And so Apple is now taking a close look at OpenAI as well, which has historically given Apple extraordinarily favorable terms.
Sign of desperation or smart move in terms of what Apple's doing?
It's a smart move in response to desperation.
So interesting, right? Because Anthropic's also partnered with Amazon. And if they've got Apple and Amazon and billions of dollars of revenue, they stand a good chance of really rapid acceleration.
Well, remember, we talked a week ago about Mira Murati's new startup and Ilya Sutskever's new startup, both doing new foundation model companies from scratch, huge valuations. Part of the logic there is the musical chairs. There aren't enough Anthropics to go around, as you're pointing out. And so there's a version of Anthropic where it's an independent company for 10 years, but there's another version where it gets acquired by Amazon or Apple, and the other guy gets deprived. And this is, just happened recently with Scale AI as well. And so there's room in the market for more foundation model companies, but the price of poker is very high now and going up quickly.
That's a really good point. I mean, if you get alignment of Anthropic with Apple, like a captured entity, OpenAI, has been dancing with individual partners for a while. Google the same. You're right. There's room for a couple of others.
I have some comments here on this.
Of course.
This is classic corporate innovators dilemma, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do disruptive innovation in any big company from now on. It's not an accident that Microsoft essentially invested in OpenAI or Amazon put money into Claude or whatever. You cannot build that capability. The mindset is too different between Apple being a consumer products company largely and the mindset needed and being under 25 to even start and kind of a foundational model company. You have to partner and invest and do this. I'm surprised that it's taken Apple this long because they do all their manufacturing with a partner in Foxconn.
Well,
why aren't they building core capability like this on the edge and
just
partnering?
A reminder,
then go ahead, Dick.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Slim. So, just a reminder, though. So today, NVIDIA is worth more than Apple, like this exact day in world history. Apple never in a million years could have predicted that 5 years ago. In fact, Apple treated NVIDIA like dirt. But Apple has the chip manufacturing. They have about a third of TSMC's manufacturing capacity. They were in a far better position to become NVIDIA than NVIDIA was, but had no recognition of the opportunity whatsoever.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem, and Salim, you and I have discussed this. It's about founder-led companies, right? So Jensen, as the CEO and founder of NVIDIA, is driving it. And when he says right, everybody goes right. The same thing with Dario at Anthropic, the same thing with Sam at OpenAI. But Apple has lost Steve Jobs, right? Steve would have been all over this. And he would have set up the team that would have just basically driven it. And it's innovator's dilemma. But during this period of exponential growth, you need a dictatorial, passion-driven founder who has the complete faith of his board and his or her board and their management team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Salim, do you agree with that?
I somewhat disagree.
Okay.
I think yes, if you're in that industry, like for example, if you're Facebook and you need Facebook to do something different and you're Mark and you're Zuckerberg, you can kind of get that done, and it's important to get that done. But the control systems, remember the big companies are optimized for two things, right? Efficiency and predictability. This comes from John Hagel and John Seeley Brown's work. And so you're trying to deliver the AirPods at the same quality into 1 million retail locations for purchase by everybody and their grandmother. Your entire focus is on that. You cannot do disruptive things when you've got that machine trying to deliver gross margins on a quarterly basis.
But you could do what Steve Jobs did, right? He took his Mac team and he moved it off on the edge.
You have to do that edge innovation in a stealth way. Google is doing it with X, right? Google X. This is what we try to do with Brickhouse at Yahoo. You have to do that type of model. And then the second level of thing is when it starts to succeed, don't bring it back in because it won't fit. If it's really disruptive, it's not going to fit in the mothership. You have to spin it off. Now, lately, companies have kind of tried to learn.
I mean, like Amazon did with AWS in one sense.
Absolutely. Or Google is. This is why Google split up into Alphabet. And they're spinning off Waymo and whatever. Yeah. So this is the only model that works. I've looked at me and my ecosystem. We've looked at disruptive innovation across probably 200 of the Fortune 500 companies in detail, and this is the only modality that ever works. It's the only one. And so you have to do that, or you acquire that disruption and you leave it on the edge the way Microsoft has done with OpenAI, or Zuckerberg did with WhatsApp or Instagram.
You will kill it if you bring it.
Inside the core organization, it won't work. No. And let me give you a negative side, right? Walmart realized somewhere in the mid-2000s that it had to compete with Amazon, that this e-commerce thing was not a fad. So they set up a team inside Bentonville, and they said to that team, all right, we have the best distribution logistics in the world, go beat Amazon. Within 18 months, the immune system had killed it. But all the existing managers said, we have our own capability. We should be optimizing for our own stores. Look at that PE ratio. It's never going to succeed. They did it a second time. Second time, they put the team at the edge. And they said, all right, go to the edge away from the core and do the same thing, but still use our existing systems. We have the best in the world. Within 18 months, the business had figured it out and killed it. Okay, they did it a third time. Third time, they made an amazingly courageous decision. They said, go to the edge and build your own independent supply chain distribution, etc. Even though we have the best in the world, we have to figure this out. Started to succeed. The business got excited, pulled it back in and killed it. And it was on iteration number 4 that they finally did it separately on the edge. And only after it achieved critical mass did they start stitching the back ends together. But in that intervening 6 or 8 years, Amazon was gone.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why Salim Ismail is incredibly brilliant and why I love him so dearly.
It's just that we've seen so much of this across we have so many data points over 10, 15 years of looking at this and looking at big companies in great detail. It just doesn't work any other way than for looking for the disruptive technologies, buying them or investing in them and leaving them on the edge. Right. And that's the only model that works.
Oh, well, I just happened to be in Bentonville, Arkansas. They were my biggest customer at the time, Walmart, as this was going on. So just one little interesting nugget on your story there, Salim. When Jeff Bezos needed to recruit Rick Dalzell, he needed one brilliant retail industry guy to come out to Seattle and make Amazon like organized and structured and retailing, because everyone he had was kind of a computer science PhD type. And so he needed Rick Dalzell, but he actually took Sam Walton's book. And there was a sentence in it where Sam predicted that a disruptive innovator will eventually come along and gut Walmart. And so he circled that sentence and took it to Rick's house. Because, the Walmart gang is super tight. They're like a family. And trying to break up a member of the family is almost impossible. And Rick needed to talk to his wife about this, like a big change moving from Bentonville out to Seattle. But the book is what put it over the top. He circled Sam's own words, predicting the disruptive innovator will come for us and we won't be able to defend ourselves.
And can I flip to the other side for a second? In 1990, when I was starting out in my career, I was building software systems and I went to Bentonville and we were trying to sell Walmart something. We passed, they had me sign all these crazy NDAs to go into the data center. And I was like, why would you have me sign NDAs to go through a data center? It's just, there's nothing there but racks of service. We walk past a particular room which has like flashing lights and dials and blinking things that I've never seen. And I said, what the hell is that room? And they said, oh, that's why the NDA, that's our satellite control center.
Yeah.
And they had their own geostationary satellite because Bentonville happens to be the geographic center of the US, the continental US. And they were everybody else was doing batch updates to their AS400s at the end of the day. And the buyers didn't know what to buy for the stores till months afterwards. Whereas these guys had real-time inventory management, credit card reconciliation, distribution logistics, all that stuff figured out and that was delivering them 15% better margins, which in the retail industry is insane.
Yeah.
And that's why
crazy.
they wiped the floor with Amazon. When you can successfully integrate disruptive technologies as a big company, you have a streets ahead of the competition. And they showed
that's what we call a moonshot, right?
Boom.
Exponential tech with a crazy idea and a high revenue
I would love to
opportunity.
meet the executive at Walmart. If anybody's listening in the knows, I'd love to interview whoever the executive was that got the board to do this. That's hardcore.